a few tips on how to use Google safely. So we're going to cover some of the ways your data is at risk while using Google, as well as providing some tools to help navigate Google safely. And we'll show you some settings you can adjust to make your browsing experience more secure. So when using Google, Google collects a lot of your data, and although Google is incredibly good at protecting itself from data leaks and attacks, there is always a risk of data leaking, although it's very small. The best way to keep yourself safe from this is to just be aware and do not store sensitive information directly on your Google account. For example, if you have passwords you like to save, because you can never remember which one's for which account, I highly recommend getting a password manager instead of saving it on something like a Google Sheets on your Google account. Every Google search you do is stored in a cookie. This cookie gives Google information about the websites you visit in your search history. That information is also linked to any Gmail accounts that you have logged in on your device. Cookies are just small files of data which just stores some of the things that you do on your Google account. Google uses its analytics to determine patterns about your internet use. This information gives Google the power to advertise, to give custom advertisements and other things like that. It's extremely beneficial for marketers looking for customer insights and targeting people with ads on Google and beyond. So if Google knows that you like to search up a lot of things about sports, say maybe you like to look up things about the NFL scores or something like that, it could try targeting you to visit a certain website or something like that. Content of users' Gmail messages is tracked to improve relevance and targeting of ads, kind of what I just mentioned, and also to block spam emails. This mail isn't read by any human being, only computers analyzing the information. But even if only computers are the only ones to see the data, it's still being tracked and stored, which could lead to leakage or another danger such as that. Using all Google products like Gmail, Google Search, and Google's Chrome browser means more data for Google, because all your activity within the browser can be linked to your Google account, such as cookies that are stored and other things like that. Chrome's incognito mode is often taken to mean that it protects user privacy. However, it does not keep users safe from tracking on the websites they visit. While the Chrome browser itself won't store your browsing history, the sites you visit can still gather information. So this just protects you from Google Chrome. Basically, just to sum this all up, Google has the capacity to collect a lot of information about you. Google uses this data mostly for advertising purposes, and it is rarely leaked. And this doesn't mean you shouldn't use Google, but it just means you need to be conscious of Google's practices when using the search engine and other Google programs. So to keep yourself safe, Safe Search can help you filter explicit content from your results. When Safe Search is on, it helps filter out explicit content in Google's search results for all your queries across images, videos, and websites. Like I said before, use a password manager. Do not save your passwords on your Google account. In case your Google account information is leaked or hacked, someone could have an enormous amount of information on you, including your logins, which is a dangerous combination because it can pretty much access everything if you have all your logins stored on there. There's a thing called a passphrase, which is a sentence you can make up that you'll need to enter whenever you want to sync your account with a new device. When you sync an account with a new device, all that means is it will share um, your login info and other logins like that to your new device. By setting up a passphrase, you add an extra layer of security to your account. So in case someone was able to get your login, um, it would be decently tricky to hack a passphrase. Rather than protecting syncing data with a passphrase, you can also just disable it altogether. Being signed into Google doesn't necessarily mean your data has to be collected across your devices. You can actually turn off the sync feature. Syncing helps you view the same information on a mobile device as well as other computers, but it's entirely your choice to opt out of this useful feature, making it harder for Google to create a whole profile on you, making you a bit safer when you use Google. Another step further in preventing Google from collecting data on you is to simply not be signed into a Google account while using Google Search in Chrome. This option can come with its disadvantages though, because while Google won't track your information, your search relevancy won't as good since Google won't be as good since Google can't properly analyze your patterns. You probably turned on the web history known as personalized search when you first created a Google account. This feature means that Google may be storing a personalized search history of you. Google does not use this data to target ads. It uses a separate search history, which is essentially anonymous for that. Google doesn't technically use this information, but the data stored from your web history is stored forever, unless you turn it off or delete the contents. You can also opt out of interest-based ad serving. When Google builds its profile for you, it assigns categories to decide what ads show you. You can remove these interest categories by visiting your ad preferences page. If you want to find out what information you are currently sharing with Google, you can go through Google itself. Using Privacy Checkup regularly allows you to see what information is being shared with Google and what accounts you may have linked. Then, once you know what information is being shared, you are in a better position to make changes to those settings and to protect the data you share with those services. You can also clear your browser data. To protect yourself from IRL data risk rather than online ones, you can also clear all your browsing data frequently. You can choose to delete all your cookies, cached images, stored information, autofill data, and browsing history. That way, if someone borrows your laptop or phone, or they steal it, they'll never be able to know what sites you're on or your logins. Unfortunately, this comes with a few downsides. If you turn off things like cached images, what cache does is it loads an image and it will save it to your computer. So at the next time you visit that website, it will no longer need to reload it. It will just grab it from wherever it was stored on your computer. Although that does take up space. Another thing that's a downside is when you delete your autofilled data, then you'll need to, in this case, if you have a password manager, it shouldn't be as big of a deal, but autofilled data comes in handy when you're trying to log in and you don't quite remember it. If you're really concerned about data, the simplest way to protect yourself from Google from tracking is to not use it. You can use alternative search engines like DuckDuckGo or, and I'm not totally sure how to say this, Ecosia, I don't know, for your searching in other browsers like Firefox, Edge, or Safari for surfing the internet. There are also other email services that you can use instead of Gmail. In general, mixing up your services and not being entirely devoted to one company makes it harder for anyone to create a cohesive data profile on you. So now we're just going to go over some of the things we talked about on how to stay safe. So the first one we talked about was safe search. So to turn safe search on, this is just the Google search help website. But here to turn safe search on, you'll go to search settings. And up here, there'll be a little check box where you can turn on safe search or turn it off. Just a reminder, safe search helps hide explicit content, and safe search preferences may be set by your device or network administrator. And then you can just hit save if you made a change. But I'm going to leave mine on. Oh my goodness. Okay. On to setting up a passphrase. Passphrase is just a phrase that you'll need when syncing to other devices, just to create more security. So to create a passphrase, I would just go through the steps because I won't be able to do this on my phone. So on a trusted iPhone or Android phone or tablet, open the Chrome app and then sign into Chrome with your Google account. To the right of the address bar, tap More, as in the three dots, and then go to Settings. Tap your account name and click Sync. And at the bottom, click Encryption. Choose Encrypt Synced Data with Own Sync Passphrase. You will enter and confirm a passphrase and hit Save. Next is how to disable sync. So on your computer, you'll open Chrome, and at the top right, you'll click Profile, and you'll sign into your Google account. If you want to sync your info across all devices, click Turn on Sync, and then Turn on. So I'm pretty sure if I click right here, so let me move this, Turn on Sync. Right now I have Sync off, but if you click Turn on Sync and then confirm it, Sync will be turned on. And to turn it off, because in a lot of cases you don't want that on, it will say Sync is on after you click on here, and you'll just click it again to confirm to turn Sync off. Next, we have Turn off web history. Okay, so on your computer, you'd like to visit the activity controls page, and you may be asked to sign into your Google account. Turn web and app activity on or off. So you'd like to have that off. Oops, this is in my way. Okay. So here, where is it? Oh, here. It's this little toggle bar, and you'll click it to turn it on and click it to turn it off. And that is how you change that. To opt out of interest-based ads, You can edit your info or interests by going to your Google account, like that, okay, and then clicking on the left navigation panel and clicking data and personalization. So in here, we see data and personalization. On the Add Personalized panel, click Go to Add Settings. So, add, oh, this is my school account, so it is automatically turned off. But if you click on it and go to Add Settings, you can turn Add Personalization off or on, but I would suggest keeping it off. Now on to the privacy checkup. This is just some privacy suggestions. So you can add, edit, or delete labels for face groups in Google Photos. Key privacy settings, here are just some things that they suggest you do. Yeah.
So basically there you can see all your settings that you have on. So it said for Quinn that, so if you go down, like it said that your web app activity is paused, but your YouTube history is turned on, right? So you can see all the things that are synced up to your account and what settings you have on from this area, from this privacy checkup. So it's a good thing to look at every once in a while just to make sure that nothing has changed, because sometimes you might do something and then it changes actually your sharing settings that you thought you would set, and it resets it to on.
Right, yeah. And then last but not least, there's incognito mode. So this is to browse in private. While this doesn't necessarily protect your data from the actual websites you visit, it will stop Chrome from saving data. So there's two ways to do this. On a Mac, you can go to the top and do File and select New Incognito Window. You can also go over here. Usually it's three dots, but my Chrome needs to be updated. But you'll click the three dots and then select New Incognito Window. So if I select that, it'll just open it up, and it's in this black dark mode setting, just to really reinforce that it is incognito.